Welcome back to Three Men and a Breakdown, episode number 2. I promised a special guest, and boy, do we have one for you guys this evening.
Yeah.
I am Jared, joined by my co-hosts Brandon and Daryl. And tonight, we have a very special guest who does drums in Whalebones and the Wise Man Sphere, owner of Lexicon Media, Johnny Frank's best friend, and somehow ours too, Indiana's very own Paul Lierman.
This is when we're gonna add the clapping in at the end. We're gonna have
You have to.
Yeah, we gotta have.
I got you.
Thanks for coming on, Paul.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, Three Men. I feel like I must be the breakdown. If
You are the breakdown. You're gonna be
yeah,
breaking
dude.
it down with us. I appreciate it. We
love
both Jared and I hit up Paul after the second video we did, and we were like, we should get Paul on. And then Paul was like, yeah, I'd be down to do it. And I said, cool. Well, you also did our intro, so big salutes to Paul. He did our intro. So if you see that sick intro, hit
All
Paul.
night.
Everything
lads,
he
dude.
touches turns to gold. I got to tell you, man, I went back and so I think that I've kind of told the story about a little bit how I met Paul, but it was during the first Cross Oceans album cycle. He really came through for us, the OG. He so gracefully put that in our group chat. I thought I'd never have to hear that song again, but Paul did everyone a solid and made these
That's a
two
banging
guys.
chorus, dude. I feel like you're selling
Dude.
yourself
It is.
short. That
It's a good one.
Fricks.
That album was recorded in a week in my living room in Austin, and yeah,
Wow.
So
Good-
many
good
albums
memories.
recorded in bedrooms in Austin, man.
It's a special.
But what about
nature.
so Paul? So so we knew each other like through Facebook and through Brandon, and like you reached out to him to have him interview my band for the first time. But what about the first time that I ever met you, and the only time I ever met you, because it was not planned at all. It was not planned at all.
Yeah. It was also, if I had a bingo card for like internet friends I would meet, you were not in the state that I would have had slotted on. It was like Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Oh
Dude,
yes.
I
remember this. I think
I
Jared
told
told me
Brandon,
this, yeah.
I'm coming. I just left my job and I decided to get on a train to go to Chicago in the middle of January. It's -8 degrees outside. And my family lives in Fort Wayne, and Bill Murray's playing a show, Pierre's Fort Wayne. And I'm like,
Worth it.
I just go there. I'm coming off like a freaking 2-week heater. Like I'm on a bender, I'm on a good one. And so like I get in there and it's just a bunch of like guys that are like a bunch of like awkward crowd members that like want to rock out, but they don't really know how. The crowd brought really good energy, but then I see this guy like standing off the side of the stage and I'm like, that's fucking Paul. And I start yelling his name. And you can't, of course, there's too much going on. So I'm like the weird guy who walks around to the side and I'm like, Paul. And he turns his head like, who's this weirdo? Oh, shit. I think I know who this guy is. That was the first time and only time I met Paul at a Bill Murray show
my
in
gosh.
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
That was,
I love
think
that
was
Paul's
also
wearing
the-
a Bill Murray hoodie right now.
It's
Salutes.
literally like the only clothes I have at this point, because every tour I get I just take one of everything from the merch bin and then
Whoa.
it's all above table. Well, it used to be, and now
It's all above table.
Don't tell Dan Killian,
It's a little late to be.
business manager. They're probably
It's too late. You've already said it in a podcast. Now it's
Yeah.
cemented online. So
I also feel like it's kind of required.
yeah,
Like, if
Yeah,
you're gonna run
dude.
merch,
you're
you
repping the
gotta-
brand.
You gotta have something.
Fruits of the labor, man.
It is true, and I'll say also that Johnny's huge on just shelling out merch to anybody and everybody who's remotely interested. Just oh dude, I met a guy over there and yeah, he had an eye patch. Could you give him a shirt? And just whatever, anything, drop of a hat. He's trying to
A
get
drop
shirts
of a
to
hat.
people for free.
That's super cool.
Oh, look at Brandon
Let's go,
flexing
dude.
Nice.
Bill Murray.
Topical.
So,
fun. You love to
Paul,
see it.
so Wise Man's Fear, man. 4 albums in,
Woo!
2015 to now. I mean, take me through that journey, man. I mean, what's it been like the last 8 years?
Well, really, it was a whole bottle of LSD, and that brings us to present.
Oh, nice. Hell
It's
yeah.
been tripping for 8 straight years. No, yeah, man. I mean, I kicked off the group with my buddy Joe and
Yeah.
Cody just shortly after Joe and I first jammed together. summer after high school, basically. Yeah, and I mean, we just like wrote a really terrible EP and scrubbed it from the internet as best we could in later years. But it was enough to get some boys in a room together, and yeah,
That's
and
what it
we,
takes, man.
dude, yeah, exactly. It's it's the bedroom in Austin, Texas vibe. We I was like a huge Attack super fan, and so when we looked at like recording an actual album, um, yeah, I just like followed Johnny ever since he left Attack, and kind of saw that he was like doing a studio, and I was like, dude, like we should hit him up, just like
Sue was good.
whatever. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And he was in the studio grind mode, just like absolutely plowing through records at the time, and so he's like, yeah, come on in. So we did, and it was dope. And yeah, I think like there's a great little relationship that started up there because he had been just like in the trenches of recording like the most generic metalcore known to man. So we fit in a great way there, but also we kind of had like a slight differentiation of being like, oh, we got like a story and there's like fantasy dudes and some flutes and stuff. So I think that was like interesting enough for him to, you know, at least to have his like attention glued to the project while we were there, and we just got along on a personal level. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I think you might be selling yourself a little short there. I think when I went back and look and listened to Castle in the Clouds, I think that when you start a band, it's kind of normal, I think, for in most cases, where you as a band are maybe kind of still finding your footing a record or two records in. But I don't think that's the case for Castle in the Clouds. I think that you guys get off to like such a solid start. And I think that your sound it's evolved and you guys have done different things and different elements with it. But like there's no weak album in your catalog. Like everything is the production, the lyricism, and like I know you joked generic metalcore, but I think you guys are like a step up, like a couple steps above that.
I'd agree.
And
Yeah.
I was really impressed, even going back and listening to. I mean, it's in a world where like production tactics have changed so much in the last decade. I think Castle in the Clouds has like really holds up well today in like modern metalcore standards. So
Thank you.
shout out, man. I was really impressed.
Thank
Oh.
you. I think Johnny's a lot to credit for that
Yeah.
as well, just because he'd been around the block when it comes to songwriting and cohesion in a record. But it was kind of funny because like the way that we tracked that record was super disjointed, and we went in and we did like the 7th track and the 9th track, and then we'd come back and do like 3, 4, 5, and the intro track, and then like the last songs that we recorded were like earlier on the record kind of deal. And he told us after we recorded, he's like, yeah, dude, I didn't know if it was going to be any good when we were like recording it. And then, it wasn't until we like laid out a master session and put all the mixed bounces into it, the waves, that he was like, oh, okay. Like it works together. And cause there's a lot of like weird stuff on there where there's like, ballads and deathcore songs. And yeah, it's just like, it's very schizophrenic feeling, but, yeah, there were so many parts of songs where we'd come in and we're like, here's our demo. And he was like, nice. The first 45 seconds of this song are useless. And we were kind of like, oh, crap. Like, it's like, oh, but that was the like Bullet for My Valentine ripoff tapping lead that repeated like 10 times. We need that. It's like, you don't. In fact, you need to get rid of it. And we did that. And we're like, nice. This is actually a song instead of just like, Freebird 2.0. This time it's shit.
Freebird. Everybody wants Freebird 2.0, but I mean, then you have this whole other side, this whole different project, Whalebones, where it's like, admittedly, I hadn't listened to a ton of it, but I went back and it was like, Island Fire is like Alexis on Fire, but then The Doors Are Locked is like your City in Color album, and I was like, whoa, dude, Nathan's voice is so solid, and it translates well to both genres, I think.
He's
just so you
good,
know,
man.
I literally listened to all 3 of the projects that Jared sent me yesterday all day today.
Oh,
and
legend.
you have a Midas touch for sure, because I didn't get to listen to everything. I don't know it intimately, but I'll tell you, I am a huge fan of anything heavy with a melody and anything not heavy with a melody, I guess I should, to be fair. But
This just in, Daryl's a fan of music.
Whoa,
I am indeed.
incredible.
But if I'm being honest, Island Effect was the big wow for me. Like, hit me hard.
Thank you, dude. Shit. That's kind of like the project I treat as my like how Baby Deer kind of walked around and
It's his
that's like
stumbling album.
yeah,
It's like-
yeah, exactly. That's my like Paul learns to produce in real time and then he publishes each faltering step in his Baby Deer world. So I appreciate that, dude.
You're
It's
not
kinda-
giving yourself enough credit, Paul. I think Island Effect is also great as well.
Thank you. Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
It is I definitely enjoyed a lot and I feel like it's progressed a lot. It is crazy though, like trying to work on songs. Like if I let them sit on my computer for more than like 2 months, it's like, oh yeah, like my vocal chain's different now, and like I process the master bus differently, and like it starts to I like cannibalize songs because I'm like, oh well, I better just like update my guitar tone. I better update blah 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 the CQ, and it's like before you know, it's like, gosh, it's just like sitting in purgatory. But
I want to reinforce that as good behavior as a
Yeah.
producer. Like taking time off from a song
Yeah.
and stepping back into it. You're only if you're proactively seeking out new ideas and new ways of doing things. Those are my favorite aspects to see in a producer.
Yeah, dude, definitely. And I think like for me, the goal with that project is like learning production, becoming competent at certain areas of production, and at least being able to like speak the same language as the titans that we get to work with, like Lee Albrecht and these like people that it's like, yo, I love everything you do, dude. That's so but just like having the same nomenclature and not being a complete ass like the typical knuckle dragging drummer stereotype. Trying hard to maneuver my way away from that.
Do you think
So you
because
got-
oh,
Oh, go ahead, Brandon.
I was gonna say at least for working with Bilmuri and obviously Johnny as a whole, both from the production aspect of things, as well as working with Lee. What were some of those things that maybe you picked up on, like obviously watching them kind of do their magic in terms of like whether it be like whalebone stuff or like Wise Man Fears stuff, or like was there any things that you picked up in those processes that you're like, oh yeah, I gotta throw this into Island Effect, that sounds sick, I like that.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, like literally the entire my outlook toward music and production and songwriting was like so holistically shaped by Johnny, and just like watching him work, seeing how he like pushes a song cycle and an album cycle, like it's really hard to overstate how big of an impact he had on like our band, but also just like me musically, personally, etc. Like, yeah, I used to have the most terrible decision paralysis for everything, and I still find myself struggling with like nitpicking over stupid details that I know don't matter. And it's just like something that I have to manually override and like whatever, just pick pair of shoes. It doesn't matter what pair of shoes you have or whatever the hell.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, but it's so it's like we go to start programming a choir on like a Wise Man song, and it's like every chord I'm sitting there and it's like, all right, these two notes I like, but this third one I'm gonna try everything. Okay, that one's kind of cool. This one's kind of cool. I'm gonna audit it on 4 different octaves. And it's like that's so dumb. Just like make something and then polish it later. If it sticks out, you'll find it. But like, yeah, I think that was something I saw him do where it's like he was just making decisions in real time about samples, about patches, about orchestration and programming things. And I was like, this would take me a year. Like this one song that we're working on, if I had to like come up with this, it would take a year and it'd be worse. But he kind of exemplified going with your gut often is going to yield just a better result. And yeah, that and dude, I mean, you guys are familiar with Bilmuri. You know that he just pumps out albums, and they're always good. It's that ethos of sort of like treating writing music as a muscle that the more you exercise, the better you become at it. And it's not like a well that if you draw too much water from it, it dries up. It's the opposite, where it's like, all right, generally what ends up happening is you write a riff, and it's like, oh, that's sick, but it could go one of 2 ways, and that creates a Y split that turns into 2 songs or 2 parts or whatever. And just treating it as like you're lighting a fire and you're not pouring out of a cup or something. But yeah, it's again impossible to overstate for both bands. Like we played a Whalebone show in Columbus like right after Castle came out, and we invited Johnny to come out, and he hung out, and he's like, dude, you guys should come like track a demo with me at my place for Whalebones. We're like, okay. So we
Yeah,
did.
let's do it.
Yeah, right. And
I don't know, man.
I wish I had.
All right, senpai, I'll do it.
Bro, I wish I knew where that is, because it's a song that ended up being on Island Fire, but it sounded like so different. It wasn't better, it wasn't worse. It was just like not sounding the way that like Nathan's production sounded.
Sure.
But
yeah.
Even that, it was like exposure to, okay, there are parallel points of view that are each valid, and I don't know. I tend to like get tunnel vision on this kind of stuff, and
I feel it.
Yeah, great for expanding the old mind.
Paul, do you write lyrics?
I do, yeah, for Wise Man's at any rate. So we're like very conceptually driven. So I write all the overarching stories, and then actually the process that we've kind of come to refine over time, and especially on this new stuff, we're heading to the studio day after tomorrow, which is part of why I've been like
Hell yeah.
a little slammed. But the stuff that we've been working on for this run is like, I'll have Joe come into my room and just do like the nonsense, just screaming nonsense. They're just syllables that aren't words.
Sick.
We'll take that.
He
as like
finds
a scratch
the rhythm.
Show. Yeah, which he's incredible at. He's a heat-seeking missile for rhythm, because he listens to like a ton of hip hop, a ton of metalcore, a ton of deathcore, but he's like on the bleeding edge of all genres. So he'll basically like scratch out stuff, and then I'll sit there and listen to the nonsense, which is usually, it's like he does a bunch of gutturals and stuff anyway, so it's pretty easy to like, even if there are lyrics, sometimes you're like, what is he saying?
Whatever.
Yeah, right. But I'll take that and then kind of massage it into, okay, how does this fit into, this portion of a storyline or a chapter of a thing that we're trying to do. But yeah, I've been doing lyrics for the band for Wise Man's like since we like started actually recording and post illegal EP. And yeah, it kind of just like started.
You have a great vocabulary.
Thanks, dude. That's my Lego prowess, showing the illegal
Lego
builds.
prowess.
Yeah, dude. There's like a subreddit about like illegal Lego builds where you're connecting pieces in ways. They're not technically designed to be connected, but it's like builds that people will make on their own. I am.
If they didn't want it to be that way, it wouldn't connect so well.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hey, man,
yeah.
look, obviously what you guys are doing works, because, I mean, on your third Wiseman's album, you guys were on Sharptone for an album cycle?
Yeah,
How did that go, man?
It was good, dude. It was very eye-opening, I'll say that much. The team there is great. The team there is also 2.5 people that we were interacting with, which is like not a lot of people for like 20 plus bands on a release schedule. So it was kind of like, it was a bit of a wake-up call for us, because it was like, oh, we need to have like this music video done in these visual assets, and we need these promo photos. We got like shoot all these things so we can submit them to a label by a deadline. And we did it, and we're like, yo, we just did all that stuff. Like, and the label, for what it's worth, they did a good job, I think, of pushing the album into a certain circulation, and it still has some of our top performing songs over time.
When did it come out?
That was 2020, so literally May of COVID, which,
That's why I was asking.
That's when you want to release an album.
Yeah, definitely. Solid
something
timing.
like that. Yeah, it was hilarious because we went into it acknowledging, all right, financially, like we're probably never going to see royalty money from this record, but we'll get a booking agent, we'll get on some tours, that makes it worth it, we're finally ready to tour. And then lo and behold, May rolls around and there weren't a lot of people touring.
No, man.
but-
And then
Yeah.
it can always go like one of two ways whenever you're, because like I'm from Orange County, California, had a buddy that was in a band that was very big in the Orange County scene back in the day. They actually went through a couple cycles and ended up winning Sumerian's Battle of the Bands. So they were going to get
cool.
signed to Sumerian,
Yeah.
but Sumerian. They kept going back and forth with the guys over there, and then they finally got to a place where they're 2 years after they win Battle of the Bands. These guys are all like, some of them are dads, some of them are in a spot where they're like, "Hey, this is now or never. Like, we're either going to get signed to this to a
Yeah.
label, to a deal." And then Sumerian comes back with their final contract offer, and they're like, "Okay, um, you're gonna write 3 albums for us, but the rev share split was like terrible." So they ended up just disbanding, right? So like you have these other labels that are popping up and kind of like taking market share away from other potential. I don't want to say I guess labels that people didn't have the best experience with. So that's why it's like I'm always curious to know from your perspective or from artists' perspectives. Like, that was the first album you released on an actual label. How did that go? Because I know, there's a lot of good stories, but there's also some not so good ones. So that's
Oh,
really
dude,
cool to hear.
absolutely. We were kind of hyper cognizant of that going into it, and we had a lawyer look at the contract, and we're like, how could we get screwed? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Credit where credit's due. Sharptone was absurdly cool, like in all things. It was like, so we put the record out with them, and we're like, okay, like this it didn't get the legs that we were kind of hoping for, especially right off the rip. Like I think in this last year, it's probably done better than it did its release year. Um, and so I just had a call with the owner, and I was like, which first of all, he was like our direct point of contact, which was crazy to me. It's like they didn't pawn us off to an assistant that had no stake in the game. It was like, yeah, just like call me anytime if you blah blah blah. But I like called and was like, hey man, I think we need to go independent for what we're trying to do. Like, we're trying to make this our living, and the way that works best for us, because we also have some of our members are married, some of them have kids or stepkids, and it's like people have complicated lives, and we can't constantly drop all on tour 6 months out of the year. So I was explaining this to him. He's like, "Oh, dude, yeah, go for it." Like, they had the option to keep us on for 3 record options, which would have, effectively killed the band if they had like held our feet to the fire. It's like, I don't know how. It's like 10 years,
Yeah.
10 years of work basically. But he was like, yeah, dude, like, you do your thing, whatever's best for you guys. That's what we want. You're always welcome back. Like, just let us know if you have a change of heart, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, good luck. And we were like, holy shit.
Oh.
That was easy.
Yeah, not a single lawyer involved in that conversation. Just
I had a similar experience, man. We had kind of hit a peak, wrote an EP during COVID, went to the label, and they're like, "This is awesome, but we can't afford to fund anything right now." And we're like, "We know, but we at least want to put it through a cycle and see what happens. And like, we have no money for you whatsoever, but we will release you, no questions asked. If you want to go that route on your own, we understand." We also got very lucky. It's like Jared said, it's not always that way for people. The developmental deal era was pretty rough for people, but
yes.
I think that some of your better labels have come around and really been in it for the interest of music and showmanship and the things that are involved in touring bands, and putting the good faith in there. That I mean look at a lot of these bands that are like coming out, selling out shows worldwide and stuff now. It's a cool thing to see it come back the way it did.
Yeah.
Oh, tours.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, Loathe is about to go on tour
With Chevelle and 3 Days Grace.
3 Days Grace. It's like,
Yeah.
what year is it? I don't even like the future and the
Yeah,
past have met up. Like, I love what's going on right now. I love the music that you make, Paul.
Thank you.
Now, I
man.
know that Jared said his favorite band was Whalebones, though.
I would say my
Well,
favorite is Wise,
yeah.
100%. That's how I met Paul, so I feel like I have an obligation to say Wise, but
Dude,
legally,
I am such a
contractually
sucker.
obligated.
I'm such a sucker for like acoustic music, and like especially with Nathan. Like, I was listening to Nathan and I'm like, what the hell is this? What does he sound like? And I'm like, okay, I'm hearing like a cross between like Tool, like Maynard Keenan and Josh Groban on this part, and then like the next part, I was like totally thrown off for a loop, dude. I just the things I was pulling from his vocal style, his vibrato, the way he like brings his palette forward and pulls it back. I was like, this guy gets it. So that's why, yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
sucker for Whalebones, man. I really am.
Dude, I agree with that. I love being in that band partly just because it's like I'm a fan of Nathan's voice and his work, so it's like I just get to chill with him and you know see him. And for what it's worth, he loves A Perfect Circle. He loves Tool and Maynard. Like that's a huge influence. Great
Brandon
intuition
looked at me
there.
like I was crazy.
Well,
a
it's not
little.
an intuitive bridge.
Yeah.
It's like
It's not an intuitive bridge.
the
Yeah.
music that comes from Whalebones is nothing on the order of Tool, but like some of the stylistic decisions maybe are in the same circuit. But yeah, dude, he's just like absurdly talented, and I'm excited, dude. We booked out like a week for me to go up to Chicago because he lives up there now, and we're just gonna go to his studio and write stuff for a week straight in September, and I can't wait, dude. Like we did that in May we had like 3 sessions that I went up for, just like 3 different days, and it was super productive. And you know, yeah, I don't know. It's been a long time since we put anything out, and it feels good. Like every time that we would like start working on something, it's like, whoa, this is like just moving so quickly and naturally, and like none of the normal roadblocks were there creatively, and it's just it was a fire hydrant. So definitely looking forward to capitalizing on that whole new wind.
Wait, are you
Well, do you
saying
guys-
that there? Oh, go ahead, Jared. Sorry.
I was gonna say no. Do you guys think for wise mans? I mean, do you guys do like short cycles at all with touring, or do you guys just like strictly like at this point in your career like a studio band, awesome studio band who pumps out content?
We have very much taken the long approach, and it's funny you say that because like literally, I want to say it was like 2 weeks ago, we just signed on with a booking agent, and we're looking at getting some shows lined up in like November, December, because everything's booked out for a couple months. But yeah, like we want to. We're in a weird place right now where it's like we have put out effectively 2 full albums that we have no idea, like we've never toured, and we have no idea what the response is like live. And so we're kind of doing these little beta test market pokes in different cities and just trying to see like, all right, like, do people care? Do people come out? And how far can we push that radius? What does that turn into? But yeah, we'll start with like some smaller dates, and then as the minute it becomes like viable, we do want to just like hit some real touring and kind of capitalize on that end of things, because that's always been the pipe dream for us. It's just really difficult to do with people's lives being complicated.
Sure. Yeah. So you're saying that you're saying there's a new Wise you're working on and new Whalebones? Are they gonna come out in the same like cycle?
I don't know. I doubt it.
I was gonna say, yeah.
With Wise, we're trying to be super aggressive. Like, we're a little bit still like drunk on the independent life, where we kind of had this moment where we're like, yeah, again. So it's like we're submitting all these assets. We're like, nice, we do this, and then they're like, okay, so we have a release calendar. It is all contingent on the roster of like not just Sharptone, but they're a subsidiary of Nuclear Blast. So it's like we have to pay attention to these bands as well when their releases are scheduled for, and it's like an interdependent rollout. And so we're like, yo, it's like we submitted everything, and it was like almost a year later that our record came out, and we're like, dude, like. And now we're just like, oh, it doesn't matter if we write a song and we like it, we're putting the song out. If we make a video and we think it's cool, we're putting the video out, and we don't care. Nothing matters aside from like having fun and like putting out dope stuff. So that said, I think with Wise Man's we're gonna have a pretty short lead time, and ideally like in the fall we'll have this record out, which is gonna be like an EP.
Okay.
But I think Whalebones is gonna take probably some more time to get it fully written. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to know because we're changing up process, and we're probably going to work with Will Carlson, who does Bilmuri stuff.
Wow.
We worked with him on.
Shouts, Will.
Dude, he's the goat.
The goat.
He's like one of the sweetest men on this blue orb. But we did like our last 3 songs as Whalebones with him, and they sound huge.
Oh, they're nuts.
Yeah, he's so easy to work with, and he's such a creative workhorse that we're just like, if we can take pressure off of Nathan's plate and just make it so that he's more focused on just writing stuff and not worried about like, all right, here's the wrapping paper for this song and here's the execution and all that, blah, blah, blah. That's like our sort of new angle is like, how do we alleviate all the tertiary stuff and just solely focus on putting Nathan in a factory writing songs?
So what are your some look when you're going into it now? Obviously, like the whole you said that like Bilmuri and that process kind of shaped your current writing. I mean, what other influences do you pull from? If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's a Seosin EP on your back wall.
Yes, that's a man of culture right there.
Oh, big time.
I think that's Brandon's favorite album of all time as well.
It is.
That makes
Paul
two
and
of
I
us in
already
this chat, dude.
Paul and I already bonded on this shit. I know.
Yeah, that's true. Dude, that's like an all-time great drumming record too. Like the vocals incredible, guitar work obviously great. It's Seosin, but Alex Rodriguez, fucking S tier drummer that nobody ever talks about either. Like he's
great.
so overlooked in the scene. But that whole album is basically like a wall of fills, but it doesn't feel like it. Which is such a hard thing to do. It's like subtle and musical fills. But yeah, I feel like musically, Seosin was huge for me. Yeah, I'm all over the place, dude. Like Pianos Become the Teeth, Drugs, Signs of the Swarm, like Monster Flames. It's just like bands. Lord Huron, I got like heavy into over the last like 2 years. But I listen to a lot of like soundtrack stuff too, like John Powell and like Max Richter and people like that. There's just I don't know. Yeah, dude, he's sick. But
good composer.
He is.
Is that where you
truly.
think some of the orchestral stuff comes from in Wise Man's, do you think? Growing up on that stuff or listening to that stuff?
That I think the Wise Man's orchestral stuff is probably more like Make Them Suffer, symphonic deathcore, or like Born of Osiris kind of whatever. I would say the Max Richter end of things, that probably manifests more like Island Effect. I did like a short EP a long time ago. It was like when I was on a laptop in Pro Tools. Yeah, boy. But basically just like a Max Richter love letter, trying to do something on that order. And yeah, that like moody stuff I think is so cool in the right context. So that's like always kind of something that I'm pursuing, is like finding how to tap into that
Feeling.
I will also add Shokran to the list for Paul. I'm pretty sure, yeah, because I know he's mentioned that so often in the interviews I've done with Paul. He's like cannot forget Shokran. So big salutes to them too. Rad band.
They just posted like this last week for the first time in years that they've got stuff coming out. So I'm dummy hyped. Ooh. But they're like a Russian metalcore band that's like Egyptian sounding. Like they use a lot of Egyptian instrumentation, but they were the way that we found the guy that does our album artwork. Was we just like found a YouTube stream of them. We're like, yo, that's sick. We hit up this dude. We still have no idea who he is. Like his name.
We have no idea who he is.
Yeah, dude. For like 3 years, we're like, it's Mayhem Proj, because it was like an abbreviation of project that like just didn't really translate. It's like, yeah, Mayhem Proj, and finally figured out his name's Alex, but still truly like kind of no idea who this guy is. He just makes awesome artwork.
Nice. Crushing it, Paul. Oh man, the myth, the legend. It's good to see Paul. I saw him in Philly. Like, what? How long ago was that, Paul? That was like,
oh, dude,
couple months.
Like yeah, was that in March for that Murray run?
Yeah, that was in March. Yeah, we got to hang out. Yeah. I had to talk to the man himself, Johnny. He was just lit.
God.
We're hanging out on the bus.
I wanted to meet Johnny so bad that night, but I was with my cousin. So I was there with my cousin who got way too drunk, and on that run, John Harvey was touring with Murray, and she was like all over John Harvey and like, I fucking love you. So she literally like ran up to the merch table after the show was done and was like, I'll literally let you do anything to me right now. And I'm like, it's time for me to go. Like I was trying to wait for Johnny. My cousin's there, and the whole ride home, she's just like, take me back to Harvey. I want to go back. I'm like, okay, well, If anybody that I know is witnessing this right now, I apologize on behalf of humanity. So, yeah, that's why I didn't meet Johnny.
That would
Dude,
make
let me
sense.
know next time you're in town. That was also, I think, maybe the first show that I had toured. Yeah, that probably was the first show that I'd ever tour managed for that band. So I was like stressed, dude. I was freaking out. But let me know next time the band's in town and you're around. Come
Hey
in.
man, I'm in Fort Wayne like every 4 years because I have family that will be there for the rest of my life probably. So you're not too far, man. Indy's only a stone's throw away.
Exactly.
Just a bunch of cows and drugs in between Fort Wayne and Indianapolis.
Pretty much, yeah. Where do you live now?
Oh,
Are you in
I'm in
Texas?
San Antonio. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm in San
give him the full
Antonio,
address.
home
Full address.
of the resident 108-degree weather.
Dude,
You know what?
Murray
It's like
was
that right
just
here right
in
now,
San
too.
Antonio like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Dude, I know, and
Oh.
I freaking had a cold, and I couldn't go. And not only that, the show was sold out. And then the day of, he was like, "Yo, we're gonna open it to the other side of the room, and we're gonna release same day tickets. So if you don't have tickets, now's your chance." And I'm sitting here like sniffles, and I can't do anything. I'm so pissed. I
That
was
was
so
when
pissed.
we did the
Sleep token
reaction.
I know. I
Yeah,
missed
yeah,
the
yeah.
sleep token.
You were
Eat
down
and
and
react.
out, yeah.
Down for the
Dang,
count.
Dude, I was so sad. Not only that, but there's another band I'm going to go see in a couple weeks. Brandon knows called Moxie. They're touring with Dayseeker and Silent Planet. I'm driving 6
Oh, very
hours to go
nice.
see them. But I found out
Whoa.
about them literally the week after they were in San Antonio. So like I'm like, oh, sick. This is how it goes, man.
Dang,
You guys
dude,
have to
your
be
life's
on
a
the.
Greek tragedy.
You got to be on the wave, Jared. You know, you have to preemptively
watch
text me.
Every single one of Brandon's videos for content in order to keep up.
I have a lot of content, so
Dude, I can't keep up. I like fall asleep watching Brandon's videos because he
Aw,
puts
thank
one
you.
out every day.
Brandon hasn't seen all of them yet.
I
One
actually
day.
have seen all of them. To be fair,
He's
so
like, I have to edit all
I have
of
to
them.
edit them.
Intimately.
It wasn't as good. I still
Fair.
think one of my favorite ones was when I had Paul. They stayed at Whalebone, stayed at our house, my parents'
Oh,
house.
dude.
Salutes. That was great. We did it on the back
are the best
patio.
ones.
That was amazing.
That was big fun.
That was big
Yeah.
fun. I miss Aiden. Aiden, if you're watching this, I miss you,
Bro,
buddy.
same.
Big,
I don't see
big
that
love to
man
Aiden.
near enough.
The best tour stories always happen when you just stay at somebody cool's house. Like, you're a cool
Paul's-
dude.
Yeah, he stayed over what? That was the only time. I think you maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Yep,
you guys played Crossroads in Garwood, New Jersey, and then I was just like, "Oh yeah, why don't you just come stay at my house? It's just like an hour drive south." And you're like, "An hour drive?" And I was like, "Yeah." And you're
An
like,
hour
"Okay, that's
drive
fine."
to shit in a toilet. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Bro.
Right,
So,
You're
take a
like, "Not
shower.
sleep in my van? Okay, sick, got you." And then we did
Dude,
it.
I wish we'd had a van. We were in a Toyota RAV4.
Oh
with
yeah, you were. Oh my
Ooh.
god, I
4
forgot.
dudes and everybody's gear. It was illegal. It had to have been. It was insane. You
Dude, the
couldn't see out
BO
of
on
any of
that
the
thing.
windows.
Yeah, had to be
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah, it was not great.
They sent that
Anytime
car
I
to
watch-
Valhalla.
I mean,
Dude,
you can't really
anytime
pull a
I
trailer
watch-
with a RAV4.
Like a 2015 Bus Invaders video where it's like knocked loose. They're sleeping on like these wood pallets in the back of a converted Chevy Astro van. And Brian's like, "This gave me sciatica, but it was worth it." Yeah, this is who we are, guys. I'm like, this is not my tour life is not for me. I'm happy to be a listener.
And now
I
they're playing
miss it.
Coachella, so you know he
Dude,
paid his dues.
and they crushed Coachella. There was
They
actually
did.
people vibing to their shit.
I mean, they had Billie Eilish in backstage, so I mean, you know, and she posted
like,
about
so-
It Dies Today like a few days ago, which is wild because that's like an OG like metalcore band.
Right.
Yeah, she posted about It Dies Today, and I was like, bro, okay.
on the
So
current
she's
event.
she gives me, I'll give her the salute because man, she does keep up.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Like, I don't think
What a-
there's really anyone else that's other than maybe like Demi Lovato. I feel like is pretty on point. She's always got some good picks, like metal picks at least.
You wonder what that must have been like with Coachella. Like Knock Loose goes on, and they're like, "All right, that was Knocked Loose. Up next, stick around for Doja Cat." You're like, "Wait, what?" All right.
I just got my ass beat, and now I'm gonna cry.
No, yeah. Well, lots of
Wow.
emotions.
Lots of emotions. Do you have? Well, that's a great segue, Paul. What's your favorite live show experience? What's your favorite band that you've seen live?
Oh, dude.
Look who broke his brain.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Is it,
I want to say Make Them Suffer's up there for me, but part of it's circumstantial. Like I saw them, they were on, they're supporting Worlds Apart, like right after that record came out. But I was like doing a month in Europe trip and just so happened to like see the guitarist's Instagram when I was in Frankfurt in Germany. He's like, playing Frankfurt tonight. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, I guess I'll go like scope out the venue ahead of time and like because I didn't have cell connection, so it was kind of like I would sit in a cafe, get Wi-Fi, see where something was on Google Maps, and just like not hit start, so you can like kind of GPS will still like move your dot whenever I like, get to the venue. At the same time that they're like walking in, and I was like, "Oh, what's up, guys? I really like your music." Like, "Oh, sick! You want to come hang out while we sound check?" So I was like, "Yeah, dude, let's go." And they're like a top 5 of all time band for me. So, like, saw them. Long story short, went on a bar crawl with their guitars till like 4 in the morning in like Old Town and these like pubs from the 1200s, and it was insane. It was just so good. And then I like took a 20-hour train ride to see them in Berlin like a couple weeks later, and yeah, it was dope. And then I like saw them in Columbus, Ohio, and they're like, "Wait, where do you live, bro?"
Nice.
You're like, I'm a
But
nomad, bro. I go wherever you guys
yeah,
tour.
yeah, exactly. But anytime that they're in town, I like try to see them. But unfortunately, Indianapolis is a C market at best. So
Dude, no way.
doesn't
But it's
happen a
like they saw you in Columbus and it was like, well, you guys heard of the Deadheads? Well, I'm a suffer sucker. I follow you guys
lot.
anywhere you go.
Real shit.
He really
Also,
did,
there was
though.
some there. Yeah, I did. And then, like, in the first time that I saw them in Frankfurt, there was some like really drunk lady that was like hanging outside their green room and just like punishing the fuck out of their guitarist. And I get to see he was like, yeah, like clearly trying to put his gear away. He had like all this stuff there, and she's like, "No, you guys rock. Like I hadn't heard of you before tonight, but blah blah blah." And so I was like, "Oh hey, venue staff just said everybody's got to leave," and she was like, "Oh really? That sucks." And she left, and he turned to me. He's like, "I owe you my life," and he shook my hand.
Yeah,
Dude,
dude.
And that's how we
I'm
ended up.
keeping that in my arsenal for the future, man.
Dude, if you can ever like intervene in annoying like fan encounter with somebody, I feel like that's just massive brownie points.
You're a goat, yeah.
you talk about bad venue, like some venues, like just like the security team. I don't know. I don't know if half of the security teams are employed by the actual bands themselves or by the venue. But I'm at a show in Austin last year at a place, barbecue place, watching Beartooth Era and Devil Wears
Stubbs? You got
Prada.
Stubbs?
I was at Stubbs. Yeah, and like there's like the main part of Stubbs and there's like the downstairs area and there's these stairs that take you downstairs to like the actual stage area. Well, that area is supposed to be closed off. And the reason why is when you go out that door, that's where all of the band gear is and like their guitars and everything are just like on racks. So I'm like I have to go to the bathroom. So I go down these stairs, I go out the wrong door and there's just some guy there with a Stubbs logo on his t-shirt hitting a bong and I'm like I'm in the middle of Beartooth's acoustic set, which you were supposed to pay extra for. There was a separate ticket for it. And I'm just like, I can literally just walk out here right now. Like there's nobody here. All of Silverstein's, Devil Wears Prada's, Beartooth's guitars and gear are just like right in front of me. And this guy's just like, I have no idea what's going on. You do whatever you want. So I walk out to the front. I'm just watching Caleb
moment.
play guitar, and I'm like, and I call my buddy's like, where are you? I'm at the bathroom. I don't know where you. I'm like, dude, I'm outside. What do you mean you're outside? I'm watching Caleb sing acoustic music right now on Beartooth's acoustic set. You bought an extra ticket and you didn't tell me? No, just walk out the door that's directly in front of you.
Full
Dude.
stub.
And Jason Bourne, we pick up the phone. I'm gonna ask you to walk out the door directly to your right. Take 12 steps.
And there you are.
Yeah.
right
I don't know
here.
if that guy's still there, but if you are, Stubbs, baked Stubbs security guy, I salute you.
Big
He
salute.
might be.
Big salute. He probably is.
I was in Austin for 8 years, and somehow Jared and I never ran into each
Never
other.
met.
Oh,
Yeah.
dang, dude. Where do you live now?
I moved back to South Carolina during 2020.
Gotcha. Yeah.
We're all in separate
part?
states.
Okay, yeah.
I live outside of Myrtle Beach.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You're all oceans apart, bro.
Toads. Dude,
We are not
COVID.
across oceans.
we're not. Not anymore.
Not
It's
anymore.
more like Damien's in Georgia now, so it's more like across two rivers, kind of. Like, I don't know what you're going to call
across the tri-state line.
we should have.
it. Yeah.
We should have called this interview. We should call this podcast. We should have called it Across States because technically, we're across states.
Across state lines, but then we probably would have gotten sued by state lines.
We'll test.
Oh, wait,
it.
no. What's the. I'm thinking of state champs. I apologize, state champs.
You're thinking of Florida Georgia line and state champs at the same
Dude.
time.
Yeah.
This Cabernet.
It's a
This
collab.
Cabernet is built different, bro. I'm
Yo,
sorry.
It's hidden. It's hidden. It's
I
hidden
had a
for
good
real.
cab at dinner.
I love.
You
that.
had a what?
A good cab at dinner.
I was gonna introduce Daryl as like, just got back from Hooters. Welcome, Daryl. back to the podcast."
They make a great cab.
Yeah,
We were
make a
doing, like,
great cab.
birthday kind of
Dude,
dinner, so it was like a
Worst, first and only time I've been to Hooters. I was 18 years old for my 18th birthday with your mom. That's where you. That's when you want to go to Hooters is with your mom.
Oh,
I thought that was a
There's
your
mom.
mom joke.
Yeah, so
Yeah, bro.
I was like, wow,
More
fuck
than
you,
my mom.
man.
We
Oh,
all know what we
no.
were like at 18. Like no game, awkward as fuck. My mom walks up to the I think like the chick that was the hottest one there, and she's like, "It's my son's birthday. You should take a photo with him." And I'm like, I want to die. I literally want to die right now. And so I got a signed calendar
No.
from all the Hooters chicks.
let's
No.
go.
And a
Your
note
mom
that was
wingman the
like-
hell out of you.
They were
Oh,
like, stay cute, Jay. And I'm like, I'm never coming here again. I'm never coming to this establishment to eat your food ever again.
I could not
And
show
that's
my
about
face in
that's
this
the
town.
story about the time I went to Hooters, first and only time, never going back.
I respect it. Well, you made such an impact that you don't have to ever go back again.
Yeah, there's reasons why my mom and I don't talk. That's top of the list.
Jesus Christ!
Wow, this got
got
really
dark.
This got
It got
really
dark. Oh, it's exactly what Daryl needed because he's
It got as dark
dying
as
of
this
laughter.
Cabernet that he's sipping
Yeah,
on.
it's the cab. The cab is a little strong
Dark as
tonight.
Paul's room. Yeah.
Ab Savage.
I like how I'm the only one who's I guess unless Paul's drinking, I'm the only one who's non.
I am.
Okay, so then
Oh,
the
what are
Lone
you?
Ranger
Oh,
out
what are
here.
you drinking on right now?
Yeah.
It
you
is
sipping
a
on?
vodka ginger ale.
Ooh.
Oh, you're doing the mixed beverage.
Mixy.
Wow.
What can I say?
Typically, I know poor Brandon. He's like, this is not a cigar and whiskey podcast.
This is the part where I actually get up and leave. Yeah.
No, typically I'm a tequila straight guy, like tequila on the rocks with like some
That's Texas privilege, dude.
yeah, but it's always something stupid to
You got
like.
you got good tequila down there, bro.
Yeehaw,
Yeah,
brother.
bro.
dude, you're drinking that Casamigos at what is it, like $28 a bottle?
Casamigos, no, I wish it was $20 a bottle. Casamigos for 1 liter costs $71.
Oh God!
It's a
What-
sipping. It's a
Hey,
sipping
have you
tequila.
Have you had Espolón?
Espolon is not bad, and it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, I
Much
serve
cheaper.
both. I serve both at the bar in my restaurant, strictly because of my time in Texas.
Yeah, but your patrons that drink Casamigos, you'd much rather serve than your patrons that drink Espolon. He's like,
That's
I
a
cannot.
whole different conversation. that I don't
That's
really
not
wanna
for the
go into.
podcast.
We finally found it. It only took
I had
us.
so many. I had 1,000 thoughts run through my brain.
Wow.
As soon as you said that, just so we're on the same page.
It only took 2 hours of podcast together, guys, to find a topic that was off limits for Daryl. By the way, Paul, I've known Daryl for all of 3 hours. We've only spent 3 hours
Collectively, yeah.
together on camera, probably.
2 hours longer than I've known him, but I would say
2 hours.
everybody's tight.
Yeah, we're all
Thank
just
you.
a bunch of weirdos having a good time.
We are.
So,
yeah.
have you guys done like a genesis of the podcast backstory yet? Or
We have,
okay.
yeah. We did
Yeah,
the
That
deep
was
dive.
the first
episode 1.
episode. It's coming out on September 4th. By the time people hear this, that will have already been out for 2 weeks. You know,
Yeah,
just
we'll mark it
shooting
before then.
shooting content, getting YouTube and TikTok and all the fun stuff set up. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I hopped on a first like Discord call with these guys and I was like, this is our strategy. And they were like, whatever, man. Daryl's like, I'm baked and this sounds fun. And Brandon's like, it's Sunday night and my cat's asleep, so I have nothing better to do. And I'm just like, I'm here for the ride. No, poor Brandon. He's like, no way. But yeah, man.
I have like
It's been
5
fun.
empires to run, so I carved
Yeah.
out time for the homies, you know.
It was your
carved out
idea,
time
to be
for the homies.
fair. Like you
Well,
were like, you guys. want-
okay,
we,
yes,
we all
it-
did a live together, and then
He's like,
and
what do you
Brandon
think
was
about
like,
a
we could
sixth
do a
empire?
podcast.
Yeah, why not? You know, it's
Brandon,
like
what
the
do you think
Thanos.
about, what do you think about
you know, it's
negative
the Thanos.
hours? And you know how there's 168 hours in a week? Brandon, what do you think about 178 hours and 168 hours?
Let's fucking go. Let's do it. You know, I feel like I'm like
Yeah.
Thanos, you know, and I have like the full gauntlet, you know, with all the gems on it, you know.
Yeah. If
That's
you
basically what I
live on
want.
live on the International Space Station and move quickly enough around the Earth.
I
it'll
am
slow your
actually.
relative time.
Yeah.
Okay, sick. Yeah, you'll
Yeah,
get like
right now.
extra, like,
Basically, we are the final piece of your Exodia.
Pretty much. Yep. Yeah, I'm
God,
about to
you
send
guys.
you all to the Shadow Realm.
hell yeah, dude.
We're already there.
Okay, cool.
All right,
Jerry
Paul,
didn't get
I'm
any
so-
of this.
I got nothing. I'm so glad you hopped on the
Yes,
podcast,
thank you.
Paul. I know you
for
didn't
having
have
me,
Yeah,
Jen.
man.
a ton of time. As we close out, I just want to know what your favorite single and your favorite album of the year so far is.
Oh boy,
Man,
Let me,
You keep asking
I'm
that
gonna-
question. and
You hit him in
I
the
still don't
gut,
have an
man,
answer
bro.
myself.
Well, I'm talking specifically to Paul. We had our time last week. It's
We
Paul's
did.
time.
Yeah, we did have our time. Oh, that was a gut punch.
I am gonna say favorite single is "Amongst the Low and Empty" by Signs of the Swarm.
Ooh, dice.
Wow.
And I'm gonna go favorite album to date is the new Humanity's Last Breath.
Dude.
Ooh.
Paul, the deathcore bro. We fucking stan a deathcore
Let's
bro.
go.
Dude, yeah,
That's-
boy
do
do I
you-
like some screamy heavy.
Have you listened to the new Zenith Passage record?
No.
That's wild.
It's good.
I love how
techno.
Daryl leaned in. He's like, "Oh, you like those
Yeah,
records?
yeah.
Have I got
Let's-
something for you?"
It's
The Axiom of Error sounds like heavily deathcore though. So
Have you heard the new Infant Bloodbath album? No, that's not a band, guys. And if
Now
it
he's
is-
just making
Oh,
it
that
up.
would have been
Yeah.
sick band name. One for the pocket, I think. Yeah.
one for it's out in the universe now.
Damn it. Well, this isn't out yet, so it still could be possible. Let's do it.
Infant Bloodbath.
Yeah.
Paul's third side project.
There
Fourth.
we go, dude.
It'd be a fourth project. Am I correct, Paul? Yeah, it'd be four.
Yeah, fourth project total.
Yeah, do it now. We got it. We'll hold off the interview just so you get it ready.
Somewhere in the bowels of Nathan's old computer, he and I started like a Infinite Annihilator like joke band, and we never like finished anything, but lordy have we talked about it one day.
You
Dude.
should get Joe to scream over top of it. That'd be kind of rad, honestly.
Yeah, he's OP though.
Get Dickie Allen to do it.
No, yeah, just make a call,
yeah,
bro.
just
make a call to the Allen.
Yeah, just call.
Yeah.
You know, hey,
He
what's
can't be
good?
very
Hey.
hard to get a hold of.
That's
That
Daryl's
guy's weird
contact.
enough to,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Daryl's got it. I think.
he's weird enough to love it.
There we
I
go.
Awesome.
mean, Infant
guys.
Bloodbath would be like, that sounds like, yeah, I'll do that.
Paul,
Sounds different.
you should close this interview out with or podcast out. I'm so used to I'm in the interview mode. You can close this podcast
it's an
out with
interview.
I guess so. You can close it out with where people can find all your projects at. We'll link them in the description, guys. Or unless you're watching on podcasts, I don't know. It'll be somewhere.
If you're watching on the
it's,
website podcast, I don't know. Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
Spotify.com / Metro Station.
Hell yeah.
.exe.
Wise Man Sphere is at TWMF Band on pretty much everything. Whalebones is just at Whalebones. So we'll lead them on a Da Vinci Code search and just say, you have to Google the Wise Man's Fear and Whalebones.
They
And
might get the
only
book,
have
though.
all the social medias. Well, if they do, they should check out Atlas Runica. Very Da Vinci Code inspired.
I don't know what
That's
Google
awesome.
is.
I only
Awesome,
use
guys.
Bing.
Well, thank you so much, Paul. Everyone go check
Thanks for
out
being here,
Atlas
bud.
Runica. Wise Man Fears. Latest album came out in January. Still
It's
a
great.
daily listener for some of the guys here.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Paul, for coming on, and we will see you guys
Woo!
in the next episode. Peace,
Thanks,
everyone.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.